assault and batteries, but my trunk stay ever ready. Assault and battery, if you scared, you never ready.
Alright, this is going to be a video response to Stevie Breach, who's made a great video about his most memorable WrestleMania trip moments. And he mentioned in the video that he's been getting a lot of messages, just like me, about people who've been talking about WrestleMania. They go back and they watch the videos. And it's such a great feeling to know that there are people out there who watched our videos, and it kind of gave them the inspiration to go on WrestleMania trips themselves. And a lot of those people, they've gone on more WrestleManias than we have. I've got messages that people have been going like 10 in a row or like 12 in a row. And it all started just from our videos, and we've inspired them. And it's such a great feeling that like people really relied on our videos to like understand what to do, what not to do, and just experience WrestleMania for themselves. And it's an honor, honestly, to be part of that. And I appreciate everyone who's been watching. But if you're new to this channel, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. A lot of WrestleMania videos coming up, and a lot of meet and greet videos coming. And I appreciate everyone who's new to this channel. If you've been watching since day one, if you've every single redemption tour, it's your loyalty and your views don't go unnoticed, and I appreciate everybody. So starting off with my most memorable moment from WrestleMania 27. This was my first WrestleMania, so obviously we're still trying to get our feet on the ground and trying to understand how things work. But I went into that WrestleMania with one thing and one thing only: the goal to have a drink. I was 20 years old at the time, so I wasn't technically legal to drink in America, but I also didn't drink in general. So I thought, what a better time to like try a beer than to do it in Atlanta with my buddies that I'm from YouTube. So we got some Budweiser, whatever, and it's Monday, it's after Raw. There was a huge thunderstorm that like soaked Atlanta, and now we're just chilling in our room, and it's probably after midnight. Me, Miguel, Steve, we're just having a couple drinks, and enough to get me buzzed, obviously, because I hadn't drank before. We knew that we weren't going to see each other for a year, so we tried to make the most out of that night as much as we could. And we ended up going to the Waffle House, which is right across the street from our hotel. It was 4 a.m. when we got to that Waffle House. And I watched the videos back, and what a great time. And I remember even on the Skype calls, we would talk about how great that Waffle House trip was, because it was something that was so unexpected, because we didn't really plan this. It was like we were having drinks, we're just chilling. It's like, hey, why not? Like, let's just go have one last meal together before we have to go. And I feel like that's what that WrestleMania especially was all about, was developing that friendship. It was our first time meeting, and it would literally be the foundation to what our friendship would be, I don't know, 15 years later. So it was definitely an experience. And it was, even before that, we had the Hall of Fame pants, and it was that whole Monday after Raw was really a great experience, just like creating a lifelong friendship that I have with all these guys still to this day. WrestleMania 28, I've mentioned in previous videos that this WrestleMania did not involve a lot of outside of wrestling things. We went to the gelato shop, which I've talked about already, but one thing I didn't talk about was the WrestleMania premium package we got. We were row 8 for that, which we paid, I think, $1,200 or whatever it was at the time. It was, well, looking back, obviously it was a lot, but now in retrospect, it wasn't that much. That day we checked into the WrestleMania hotel for the package holders was incredible, and I'll never forget. I made one whole long shot because we were so excited to see what, what's that word? What like loyalty feels like. You know, we were package holders, we were premium seats, we had row 8 ringside for Rock versus Cena. We got to the room, we opened the door, and we all marked out, because what we had the year before in Duluth, Georgia was nothing compared to what we experienced in Miami, Florida, downtown Miami, minutes away from the arena, right? Like, you can see the beach from our room. Just incredible. And it was like, damn, like, this is what these WrestleMania trips are supposed to be like. You know, you spend a little, you get a lot out of it. What an upgrade. And that's all I could really, and even in the clips, you can just see us marking out, just like, man, we have room, we can like walk, we can do this. We're not all crammed, like, you know, on top of each other in like a 1-bedroom thing like we were the year before. It was 2 bedrooms, but still 2 beds. But just a great moment. And it really showed like how much we kind of learned from the first year. But again, first year, second year, two different years, and we learned so much, but it was definitely something that I'll always remember, is just like what loyalty feels like being a package holder. For WrestleMania 29, this memorable moment came actually after Monday Night Raw, just like WrestleMania 27, but this was actually from the parking lot to the car and on our way home. This was the Fandango Revolution, and for all of you who've watched that WrestleMania, you had Dolph Ziggler cash in, but that WrestleMania was really topped off with how over Fandango had that lightning in a bottle. And I've never seen people go crazy over the dance, the singing of his song, and it was really a precursor, now that I look back, to what WrestleMania 30 would be. everyone was getting along, everyone was partying. You saw people having wrestling matches in the parking garage. You saw people just honking their horns to wrestling themes. Everyone was having a great time. It was the last night, obviously, of the WrestleMania experience, and I think people just wanted to go out with a bang. And it was definitely one of those things that led to what the year after would be. Which brings me to WrestleMania 30, and it's funny because now when I talk about Bourbon Street, I always talk about WrestleMania 34. But WrestleMania 30 was, at the time, legendary. Till this day, legendary. It was the first time all of us, and when I mean all of us, I don't mean like 4 or 5, I mean like 10 or 15, 16 people. We all got together after the show. We went to Bourbon Street. That was the most craziest time of my, like at the time, WrestleMania 30 was incredible. And I don't even know how to put it into words. It was just the camaraderie between all of us. Didn't matter if it was like the UK guys like us and then there's like different groups in YouTube, but we all came together that one night, partied, and we had drinks, we laughed, we just created so many memories. And just going through the vlogs, I have a lot of more of them on my external hard drive, but what I have on YouTube is just like nothing compared to like how much was filmed that night, how many memories were created, and really set the tone for what WrestleMania trips were going forward. And that trip was definitely the most memorable to that day. And again, WrestleMania 34, WrestleMania 30, two different trips. But that one thing that stands constant is that city brings everyone closer together. It was something that we have that photo of like all of us together in front of the Superdome. To this day, that photo's been recreated, but that will never be another photo like that. I feel like again, WrestleMania 31. I actually have two, which was funny. I've talked about going to San Francisco before the show, and again, I don't think I really talked too much about it, but how big of a deal that really was, considering that you're in San Francisco, you got to see the Golden Gate Bridge. We saw the marina, we saw the stuff around. But again, it was our first time seeing each other after, for me, it was like a year almost. I did see Miguel a little after WrestleMania 30, but Steve I hadn't seen and Zach I haven't seen. So just hanging out a little bit before all the madness starts, it's always like a great way to kind of not break the ice, but really be accommodated with each other, kind of catch up for what we missed. Where after that, it's like all wrestling and it's all this show, that meet and greet, that access. We just had a great time. And that was part one of like the WrestleMania 31. But part two came after while I was watching the vlogs back. Steve mentioned myself and Miguel, and he kind of tried to defend himself that he starves us because we don't say we want to eat. Now we know for future references, if we ever want to eat, we have to add that to the schedule. So my WrestleMania 31 memorable moment is when Steve starved us for over 24 hours and then had the nerve to go to Denny's and start coughing all over everyone's food, just trying to be that, just trying to be that heel of like, yeah, you guys want to eat? No problem. I'm just gonna cough all over your shit. And in the video, you can see Miguel covering his food, and he's like, man, this guy starved me for 24 hours. Now he's trying to take out my sandwich. And Steve's just going to town, just hacking like he's like a cigarette, like smoker's cough. I'm like, man, I'm gonna get us all sick. You're gonna starving us. And I've never laughed so hard at that clip. Like my face started hurting after when I was like editing this together. And it was so funny. Even after that, we had the Vader meet and greet. And that was another one of those things that lived on in the chat for so long is the picture of Vader. Just half like his face is not normal. Just a great time. And that's what, again, what WrestleMania is all about, is just creating memories like that and going back. And no shower Steve starving us. This stuff has been hovering around and it'll haunt him forever. It's 2012, 2012, 2015. And we're still talking about it to this day, how Steve doesn't shower and Steve starved us. WrestleMania 32, I've talked about going to the Dallas Mavericks game, but I really want to hit home how special though that time is before the wrestling starts. And I feel like that's when everyone comes in, everyone's happy to see each other. We haven't seen each other in over a year. And that Dallas Mavericks game was probably one of the best non-wrestling before the madness starts experiences I've had. We had last row at the game. I don't even remember who they faced, to be honest. But I just remember being the last row of the American Airlines Center Arena, whatever, with a Pizza Hut. And it was myself, it was Miguel, Steve, Justin, Griff, Lorenzo brothers, Boston brothers, Griff, maybe 10. Did I say Griff? Whatever it was, 9 or 10 of us. All of us we haven't seen each other in so long, and it was the best time. And it just shows that you don't need a front row seat at an event just to like have a good time. And that game, couldn't tell you anything that happened, but I just can tell you that it was one of the best times I had on that whole trip. Just seeing my friends after so long, and just making jokes and just trying to catch up. after a year of not seeing each other. And last but not least, WrestleMania 34. I already talked about New Orleans Bourbon Street in WrestleMania 30, but WrestleMania 34, we are going to talk about Muffalata Monday. This was Griff. I'm sure a lot of you, well, actually probably not too many of you know who Griff is, but he, for a whole year, was talking about this sandwich that his dad said was so great. It was so tasty. And every week, every time I'd see him, and Griff's a personal friend of mine from like outside of YouTube, and he was saying how his dad went to this shop in New Orleans. He had the sandwich that like New Orleans specially known for, and muffalata this, muffalata that. So Monday, he was his day. It was muffalata Monday. It was the day where Griff's gonna try this sandwich for the first time, and bring all of us with him. You had myself, Justin, Lorenzo brothers, and two other guys that came from with us from Toronto, and we went to the shop, and Griff tried the sandwich, and let me just tell you, it was nothing like he compared it to be. He was talking like, I'm gonna have the best like Jersey Mike's whatever like premium sub, but it was a sandwich with some olives inside of it, and he'll tell you it was the best, but in reality it was very mediocre. But he still built it up like it was great. That Monday before Raw, we just kind of went through. We did go to Bourbon Street, but it was more in the daytime. It's a different vibe in the day than it is at night, and we really got to see what New Orleans has to offer without all the partying and the madness and the craziness. And it was a great time. And I hung out with guys I typically wouldn't hang out with, which is another great thing. And again, it was like all of us coming together in New Orleans and having a great time. At the end of the day, you can see a little theme what WrestleMania is really about. And that's like friends coming together, going to shows, doing what they love. Wrestling is what brings everyone together. And I feel like that's like a common thing when it comes to WrestleMania, these trips, going back and seeing like how strong these bonds really are between all of us. That's the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.